Hi, Pi. Here's another question that is actually very similar to one that you'll see on an upcoming quiz. So hope you pay attention, hope it makes some sense to you. This is a situation where we're going to have to solve more than one triangle in order to get to the final answer. So keep your work organized. Let's get started. All right, so here we've got a boat out in the ocean off the shoreline, and the shoreline is going to be right over here, and we would like to know how far that boat is from the shore. Now, hopefully, if you're measuring the boat to the shore, you are looking for this distance. So right there is where our final answer is going to be. However, I think we've got some work to do before we actually get to that. All I've got are these different distances, 51, 45, and 70. And I don't know anything about this perpendicular distance. So imagine, if you will, that we just sit and play with this triangle. When I look at just that triangle, I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to find out that black question mark distance if I were to solve for either this angle or this one. It doesn't really matter which one you solve for. We should get the same answer for either. So I'm going to solve for this one. Just, I don't know, it's bigger. We'll play with that one. So I'm going to try to solve for that angle right there. And I have no angle side partnership pair, so I'm going to have to use law of cosines. So let's call this angle X, and we're looking for angle X. So what am I going to start with? I'm going to start with the side that's right across. I'm going to start with the 51. So we will start with 51 squared equals 70 squared plus 45 squared minus 2 times 70 times 45 times cosine x. Remember that the thing that's unknown that you're trying to solve for will either come here at the beginning or here at the end. And that number at the beginning should be the side that is across from the angle that's at the end. So as I start to solve this, I grabbed my calculator and I did this ahead of time. 51 squared is 2601. 70 squared is 4900. 45 squared is 2025. 2 times 70 times 45 is 6300. Might want to check my arithmetic a little bit, make sure that I'm calculating correctly. Well, what am I going to do next? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to combine these two, but be careful, I can't include this because this has a cosine x attached to it. So I'll have 2601 equals, when I add those two together, 6925 minus 6300 cosine x. Again, I cannot combine the 6925 with the 6300 because 6300 has a cosine attached to it. So what seems to make sense to do next? Well, I would subtract 6925 from both sides of the equal sign. Subtract from both sides of the equal sign, and you'll end up, yeah, it's going to come out negative, but that's okay. Negative 4324. This one's negative as well, 6300 cosine of x. So far so good. And as I continue now, I'm really going to need my calculator because my next step is going to be to divide both sides of that equal sign by negative 6300. So grab your calculator, do a little division. If I clear that up, I'm dividing negative 4324 divided by negative 6300, and I end up with this 0.6863 number. So I really have this 0.6863, and it goes on. That's what the cosine of x equals. How do you get angle x? Well, I take this thing and I inverse cosine it. So that will give me my angle x. Now remember, that's not my final answer, but I've got that 6863 number up there, so I'm just going to hit second cosine and use my answer button. Uh-oh. Whoops, it didn't come up with answer. Second cosine, second answer. There we go. That's better. 46.65 degrees. So as I come down here, we'll call this angle 46 point, let's call that 0.7 degrees right there. Why was that important? Why did I want to find that? I still haven't answered the question. The question is, how long is this side? Well, now let's turn our attention to this smaller triangle that I have here. I now have that angle of 46.7. I have the fact that that's a right angle. This 45 is the hypotenuse of that right triangle. The question mark is what? It's opposite from the 46.7 degree angle. So how about if we just use a little SOHCAHTOA? I go opposite hypotenuse is sine, so I'll do sine of 46.7 equals that question mark over 45. So if I grab my calculator and multiply 45 times the sine of 46.7, there's my final distance. My final distance is 32.75. That's going to be the answer for that length. 32.75 miles. So 32.7 miles from shore. That was a great problem. We got to do a lot of different things. We got to play with law of sines and using it to find an angle. So there's a lot of inverse stuff going on. That was a good one. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.